What is up, dudes and dudettes? It is Connor with Hound Dog Motorsports, and today we got the problem of my headlights not working. As you can tell, the driver's side does not work. This one, actually, the halo rings do work, but the bulbs don't. I already tested the harness with the test light and everything. I am getting the correct pinouts. My makeshift pinout reading, since the E92 and E93s are completely different than the rest of the E90 platform, and yeah, they just don't work. So I went ahead and got some replacements. Granted, they're not as cool. I am really, really bummed that I can't use these headlights anymore unless I repair the harness, but I have these new ones right here, and we are gonna go ahead and throw them in today. So come along. First, we have to unplug the harnesses. These harnesses are a pain. You have to squeeze them and separate them. It is usually a little bit easier if you walk them out. Good Lord. I'm gonna need a pry tool for this. It also does not help that I just got back from an eye doctor appointment, so I really can't see that well up close. But regardless, still got it out. Still got it separated. We'll go ahead and do the passenger side and proceed to take the bumper off. So once you have the harnesses disconnected, you need to go ahead and jack up the car so you can take the front bumper off. I know it sounds like a pain, but that's just what you have to do. It's a BMW, Volkswagens are like this too, and slide them out. So with the wheels off, you're not ready to take off the bumper. Taking off the bumper does sound like a daunting task, but it's pretty straightforward. First, you want to use your T30 and remove the 4 bolts up front. And you want to put them somewhere where you don't lose them. I put them on my magnetic mat pad right here or in a magnetic bowl, but you can put them wherever you'd like. Next, if you have a license plate bracket mount that goes into your tow hook, you'd want to remove that too. Now you want to remove any and all bolts inside the fender liner, specifically the front half here. You should have one here, one down there, 3 along the side right here, or 2 along the side right there, and then 1 up top. I have a lowered car with many issues, and because of that, I do not run a full fender liner, and this is partially rubbed out from the previous owner. All in all, removing this is pretty straightforward. Just go ahead and take those bolts out. That should be an 8mm socket for the ones along the side here, and then along the wall should be 10mm. And it slides out just like that. Next, you will have another T30 Torx bit bolt right there, and there should also be one at the top. You're going to remove both of those. Unfortunately, mine is missing, so I could just pull that one T30 out. And then you also want to remove the bracket along the side here. Those should be 2 10mm bolts. Correction, 8mm bolts. I also forgot to mention that if you have headlight washers on your car, if that was an option that the original owner selected that you have, you also need to remove those, but I have another video on that. Just be sure to go back and check that one. I did that when I was doing the lip install for my bumper. This is what the bracket looks like when it is out. It's just a simple L bracket. Now when you're up top, you want to use your T30 once again to go ahead and remove the headlight mounting bracket bolts. The reason why I do this last is because the last thing you want is you're removing something from underneath the car and it falls forward. Now we're at the point that the headlight should be able to come out completely. I forgot to mention, I've had this headlight previously removed just a couple of days ago, and I didn't put these bolts back in. But on the side of the bracket towards the center of the car, you're gonna have two 10mm bolts. In my case, they're T30 bolts. You're gonna want to remove those too. Next, if you have any hosing connected for your headlight washers, you want to remove that. It should just be a pull tab and these hoses right here. Once that is out, you have a complete headlight assembly that's ready to be swapped out. So with your headlight out of the car, you do need to transfer some things over from the headlight that was on it. First, you need to remove this module. Then you need to disconnect the harness that is here. Should just be a squeeze and a pull, just like that. And you need to remove the T30 bolt that is on the side for the bracket. Should be another one somewhere right here. You need to remove that one right there. And you want to separate the frame from the headlight, just like that. And you want to set the frame to a side. Now, with the assembly, the headlight assembly out, you could see obviously where I had failures. I tried to repair the harness at some point, but if you look closely here at the connector, you can see that it melted. It got so hot at some point that it melted the connector and the sealant inside of it. Some pretty gnarly stuff, but that's China quality, so it's nothing new to me. Next, we're gonna take this cover off and remove the headlight. Remove that off. Here, you got the Xenon bulb. When you pull this out, you do not want to touch that. You don't want to touch the glass whatsoever. I actually have LED replacements for these, so I am just setting these aside for future testing, just in case these might actually work and I need a backup and it's just the wiring harness that went bad and not the bulb. So I'm setting that to the side here. And this can go in the junk box. So now we are back with the new unit. And these are M6 replica style lights. They're not the cool snazzy lights that I had before, but you know, you can't save them all, Hasselhoff. First, you want to pull off the rear cover, and this will be your ballast slash bulb cover. It's just much larger than the one I had before. Unfortunately, these headlights for the E92 and E93s, they come at a cost. This alone was $500. $500. It's money I'm not going to get back. But if I repair the other headlights, I will end up keeping these for stock and putting the old headlights back on. But now we have the new bulb. We're gonna go ahead, pull it out of the memory foam, set that to a side, and then you wanna orientate it in the direction that it needs to go. So for here, looks like it needs to sit like that. And that's just based off the way that I'm seeing and looking at the plug. We're gonna put it in very softly without touching the glass or the wiring there. Bring that down, swing that across, bring this out, and plug it right on in. What this is for, I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea what this harness is for, but I'm not really gonna worry about it right now. And then, I think that's the only bulb that's needed on this. Oh, still gotta transfer over your module here. It plugs in just like the last one. I would actually recommend using some dielectric grease, so I'm gonna get that real quick. You just need a small dab, a pea size. That should be good enough. And just set it on there like that. The pea size, it will work its way in. And you wanna make sure that this gasket here is good. You don't want water corrosion in that whatsoever. Fine to me. I'm gonna go plug it in. So I figure out the orientation. It is plugged in. And now you can screw it in. You wanna go diagonal on this. You don't want it to be cockeyed. You wanna that sits evenly all the way across and has a solid seal, otherwise you will get water intrusion and you'll have the same issue I had before. Now, if I wasn't being lazy, I would reseal these headlights. I would take some clear silicone and go across the, I think that's tight. I'd take some clear silicone, go across here, and then go across here in order to assure a good seal, but I'm not too worried about that when it comes to these, because I'm not even sure honestly how long I will keep these headlights on. And now I'm gonna put this cover back on. So now with this back cover on and it completely sealed, you want to go ahead and hook it up to the car and test it first. You do not want to install this and go through the whole installation process for something to be messed up. So I'm gonna throw it in the car and you guys will see what I test for there. Now, if you guys look closely, you can see that I have my jack up underneath the bumper. Keep in mind that when you do have this off like I do, the bumper will sag a little bit because I don't take both sides off at the same time, even though I should. I'm lazy like that because I'm doing one side at a time just for you guys. And you want to preserve these hinges as much as possible, so just leave a jack up underneath there. It doesn't hurt anything. What I'm doing here is reconnecting the harness in its original configuration, not pressing it firmly because it's gonna be a pain to get off if something is wrong. Just lightly putting it in there. And of course I have the headlight backwards. It should be orientated like that. And now what I'm gonna do is set the headlight there, start the car, turn on my hazards, turn on my high beams, low beams, and turn on the blinker and everything else. Okay, so I'm obviously missing something because I do not have any low or high beams, so I'm gonna go figure that out real quick.
3 days later.
So after some further testing of the wiring harness, making sure, using a test light to make sure that all functions worked, I found out that my ballast was bad, so I went ahead and picked up a new one. They're about $25 on Amazon and about $350 for a brand new one. And then, of course, AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts, they also usually have them in stock, but they're 3 times the price for the same China version. I went ahead and picked one up off of Amazon. I'm gonna go ahead and slap it in. I also bought an extra one just in case the other one decides to, you know, take a dump. And now keep in mind, the reason why this failed is because I had water intrusion. When you get water intrusion into these boards, it cooks them. As you can see with the white around it, and then also around the seal, there's a lot of caustic buildup. That is a good sign of corrosion. When you get these, you want to verify that the pinouts are the same. They look relatively the same, almost 1 for 1. So that's good enough for me. Go ahead and put the rubber seal back around it. I will say I'm super thankful this is not a wiring harness issue, because if I had to diagnose this anymore, I would have ripped my hair out. I don't think this is how the rubber boot goes in there, but fuck it. We'll test it and see. Actually, I think the boot goes in here like this. What sucks is that I did procrastinate on this a little bit, so I'm not gonna make it to Cars and Coffee today. It's been on my bucket list to keep going back to those, especially now that I'm back in a familiar playground. But, you know, life does its thing. Okay, that clicks in. Now when these are seated, you will hear an audible click, just like that. It also only seats in one way. You want the plugs facing this way. You don't want the plugs facing that way, because if you force those in, you will break the connectors. All right, so that's in there. Let me get the bolts or the screws. I got the tray full of screws for this. If I can zip them down without dropping them. Now you might be asking yourself, dude, where's your control board? I don't have one. The car didn't come with one. The last headlights didn't have them. Don't know what to do, but they work fine without them. So we're gonna run without them. Now, for the moment of truth, we're gonna plug it up Now what I'm gonna do is go turn on the car, and I have the headlights pointed towards the cab so I can easily see if they're working or not. I don't have to like look in a reflection or anything. So basically, I'm either blinded by them or I'm not. They are working. Couldn't be happier. So now what I can do is, start putting it all back together, which is the reverse of taking it apart. So I must have spoken a little too soon because now that ballast isn't working. Just seems like a crapshoot at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and return it and wait for the ones from Amazon that I ordered the same day come in. Fingers crossed one of these two that I ordered work.
3 days later.
But while we're waiting for them to come in, it's gonna take about 3-4 more hours for them to come in. You can at least assemble the headlight and get it ready to install. That was close. Taking this out. So giving you guys a top-down point of view, you want to remove your turn signal portion here. Depending on your position, you want to rotate counterclockwise, clockwise in order to pull that. You want to make sure your tab here and then also right here slide on into their holes like so. Then you want to take your T30 bolts, my apologies, and slide them and start them by hand because you don't want to strip them. Do the same for the other side. Now take your impact or zip gun and zip them in. Now I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with these ports right here. I wish I had a cap for it. I could 3D print one. That seems like a lot of work for something I really don't care about. What I might do is go ahead and put some sealant on there like the last ones had. Now, what you want to do is you want to take your turn signal and return it to where it is. You actually want to put your turn signal on first, like so. Then you want to slide it in. The reason for that is if you don't put that turn signal in first, you will chafe that wiring and you'll be doing this all over again. So now you have the back port here, the cover, and all the nuts and bolts with it. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting those in. Now remember not to over torque these. If you do, you'll crack the casing or the plastic and royally screw yourself. So now we have one headlight assembly ready to go once the ballast comes in. But first, before I install it, I'm actually gonna put some RTV around here because I can tell that this is just willy-nilly and the last thing I want is water intrusion. So, I gotta do this. Connector. I don't really give a shit. Since the car does not have a connector with it. All right, that's done. I'm gonna go try it on the other side. All right, now that we have both headlights built in and ready to go, we can go ahead and install them once the new ballasts arrive. At least one of them. I ordered two. As long as one out of the two work, I'll be happy. It's better than the ON2 that I am right now. And we'll go ahead and slap them in. But now it's just waiting time. All right, we have the new Amazon ballasts in. Let's see if they work. I only waited an extra whole day and a half after they said they'd be delivered. They work. I'll get you guys in a better angle here. But you can see the high and low beam activating, which means that they are working. So I can finally throw this car back together after 2 days. That was miserable. But I will say for future advice, just go ahead, buy the ballasts, buy the bulbs, and buy the lights all at the same time. Function check looks good. Now I'm going to disconnect the harness and we can actually start putting everything back together. Now I'm setting it to the snug setting because I don't want this getting over torqued. Something just adjusted, that was weird. So these are preem and they're ready for the bumper install, fender liner install, window washer, eyelid thing install, wheel install, all that. After 3 days of this car being apart, I am super happy to finally have it back in good shape because it's been driving me absolutely nuts. And a quick tech tip on what helped me diagnose my ballast is a simple test light. The really fine probe on it. Got this from Harbor Freight for like $5. AutoZone, you can get them for like $8. But we'll go ahead and we're gonna install the bumper. The bumper is on through those 4 bolts. Now you have to get up underneath it and install the fender liners. I am not reinstalling the L brackets here as I don't see a point when it's already mounted in 4 separate places. That, and I don't have the bolts for them anymore because I relocated those to their proper positioning on the headlight. So I'm just gonna go ahead and ignore it and pretend like we did. Plus, if you guys look, this is already solid. It's not going anywhere. We got what's left of my fender liner and we're gonna slide it right on into place. Awesome. This side is ready to go. Time to switch on over to the other side. All right, so now with your fender liners completely in place, you're ready to put back on the windshield washers. The license plate bumper mount, like I have, that goes into the tow hitch, and then also your wheels. Remove the jacks, get it ready to go. Doing these is as simple as coming out with it like so, sliding springs onto the hook, then releasing it back down. Unfortunately, one of my springs is stretched out, so I have to move it as close as I can to the spring retainer just to lock it in. Now that's locked in. With the bumper back on and all the window or the light washer, headlight washer thingy-mabobs back on, you can throw on your license plate bracket mount like I have. And I also took off the grill for the front mount intercooler. Not sure how I feel about that. I'll have to get a few pictures of it to see how I really like it. Not entirely sure if I will or not. But if I don't like it, it's probably easy to put back in. You just gotta fish it in there. Besides that, the next step is to put the wheels back on and then level out the lights. Leveling out the lights is a pretty easy process, and so is putting on the wheels. Looking here, you can see I have one headlight pointed just straight down at the ground, and the other headlight pointed 0.2567 millimeters above the ground. So one a little bit higher than the other. Both of those are too low, and both of those need to be fixed. So for these headlights, you have what looks like to be one adjustment point, which is I think 10 millimeter back here. See if I can get y'all in for a better look. All right, with some better lighting, you guys can see it right there. It looks to be a 10 millimeter socket adjustment. I want to attach to a 1/4 inch ratchet. Now, at a 25-foot distance, you want these to be about 5 feet off the ground. I could be wrong on those numbers, but I usually aim them at the middle of my hips on a car since I am about 5'10". Let me double check that for you guys. All right, so double checking the numbers, there is no rated height. I completely forgot about that. It's basically 2-inch drop over a 25-foot distance. Here I have about 25 feet. A distance is about halfway up my thigh, and that's what I usually go off of, so you know, memory serves me correct. So that's what we're gonna go to do here. Now I'm turning off all the lights in order to see the distance change, because I'm not sure if up is down or down is up. So clockwise is down, reversing it to counterclockwise. Now if memory does serve me correct, cars usually have 2 adjustment points. This one seems to only have 1, which kind of sucks. Now that appears to be halfway. Looking here, it is about halfway up my thigh. I do want to raise it just a slight bit more, but we are close. Hopefully you guys can see it on video, that light level rising. There we go. Let's check it out. Yeah, it is slightly above my thigh, and that's close enough for me. Now we are going to do the other side. Let's get you guys a good look at this. Pay attention to that side right there. Looks to be about even for me. Oh yeah, spot on. Up to here. Man, it does not get any closer than that. That's awesome. So now a couple days after installing, these headlights look and work great. I was halfway expecting these headlights to do what every other China brand headlight does. They get foggy or get some damage on them and start to crack, but these have held up pretty well. What I might do in the future is lay some ceramic coat, some wax, some stuff like that in order to preserve the headlight a little bit longer, because I want these things to last, because this is not cheap. Like I said, this cost me around 600 bucks and a lot of my time. But if this video helped you at all, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one.